Realized, as I was listening to Amy read, that I think that first lesson might need a little commentary, and since it does play a role in the sermon, it would be appropriate maybe to just give a little information about it. In the ancient world, powers, nations would make covenants with each other. And what they would do is when they got ready to make that covenant, they would take animals and they would literally cut them in half. Exactly. They would just cut them in half. And in every single instance, always, the lesser power would walk through those pieces in the direction of the greater power. In essence, saying, if I violate any terms of this agreement, this covenant, this contract, may this carnage happen to me. But in Genesis, it isn't the lesser power. It's the greater power who makes the promise. This morning, if what I'm about to do, seems less focused, well, more so than it usually is, let me just say this. I always take great pride in the fact I'm always willing to take full, complete responsibility for whatever it is that I miss the mark. Rare occasion it might be, but when I miss the mark. And all I have to say this morning, however, is that if this seems less focused to you, it's not my fault. Luke made me do it. And I'll explain. One of my absolute favorite historical figures, in fact, from recent history, is a guy I'm sure you've heard of, a guy by the name of Sir Winston Churchill. And for reasons too numerous to mention this morning, and in fact, if I were to go down and talk about Winston Churchill, we're actually here to talk about Jesus, not about Winston Churchill. But if I were to go down and list all of the pros and the cons, then it would really be unfocused. Anyway, one of the things I love about Winston Churchill is he had this facility, this incredible gift with words. And when Winston Churchill was ever provoked, he could say things in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, that hit as hard as a left hook from Mike Tyson when Tyson was actually in his prime. Like the time a woman said to him at a party, "Winston, you are drunk again." Winston Churchill said, "Yes, I am. But in the morning, I will be sober. And you, madam, will still be ugly." One time at a party, Winston again, there's a theme here, maybe he's been drinking a little bit too much. And a woman said to him, "Winston, if you were my husband, I would poison you." And Winston Churchill said, "If I were your husband, I'd drink it." Anyway, one time in a local restaurant, the story goes that Winston Churchill was kind of in a fit of pique. He called the waiter over and he said to the waiter, "Take this pudding, take it back to the chef." And the chef said, is there a problem with the pudding? And Churchill said, "Yeah, it lacks a theme." Sir Winston might offer the same assessment this morning with the entire 13th chapter of Luke's Gospel. Which is interesting because Luke, in contrast to Mark and John and Matthew, is without a doubt a masterful storyteller, an incredible writer, and has an amazing grasp of what was then known and is known today as Koine, or Common Greek. As a professor of homiletics says, in the 13th chapter, it weaves, it's here, it's there, it seems unfocused, there's no cord that seems to bind everything together, there's a lot of bobbing and weaving. One minute the doors of the kingdom are wide open and people come from all points of the compass to sit at the table, and literally in a second the door is slammed and all the knocking in the world won't get him to open the door. And then there are the 4 verses this morning that seem just lifted right out of the context. Foxes and hens, and today and tomorrow and the day after, whatever that means. And so the question is, well, what in the world how are we supposed to think about this little snippet of Luke? And what do you even say? Well, obviously you'll say, that's your problem, not ours. So, anyway, it's hard to know at the beginning of this text. Are the Pharisees, and now you have to remember, the Pharisees are not all bad. In fact, there was a guy by the name of Joseph of Arimathea, and another guy that Jesus had a late-night conversation with by the name of Nicodemus, who actually went to the powers that be and asked for the body of Jesus that it might at least have the dignity of a proper burial, because 99 times out of 100, somebody who was crucified was considered a non-person. The body was taken down and it was thrown into a pit somewhere, and the dogs would come and eat it. A final insult to injury. So not all the Pharisees are bad. So the question this morning is, they come with this information. Are they friends? Or are they tempters? Are they friends or are they tempters? Are they in essence of what they're saying? Jesus, cut and run? Are they telling Jesus, head for the hills? Go out and get lost in the country until the powers that be find themselves consumed with some other problem and they forget all about you? Are they saying to him, don't do what God wants. Don't do what you came into the world to do. Are they saying, ultimately, that the cross isn't necessary at all? As I was looking at the text, there's some words came to mind. Thought of the word stubborn, or resolute, or adamant, or unswerving, or courageous. But I think the best word that sums up the scene, or more specifically, Jesus' posture in the midst of the scene, is the word determined. And what undergirds this morning that brave determination is essentially two things. One is the full recognition of the state of the world. As I say to people, your doctor cannot write a prescription until she or he gets the right diagnosis. Call it as it is, as Jesus always does. Speak straight to the heart. Because as a professor of mine used to say, if the heart is not confronted and if the heart doesn't change, nothing ultimately changes at all. So, recognize the state of the world in which we live. Jerusalem, he says, is an absolute mess. And the world in which we live is a mess. We're reminded this week, were we not? Defaced by greed and cheating. Just ask Mrs. Full House herself. Wonder if she's sorry. And then all of that nauseating violence just on Gratiot here, just in the last few hours. And if anybody here thinks that you can run somewhere and you'll be completely safe, you are greatly deluded. 49 people in a place called New Zealand, in a mosque of all places, gunned down just a few hours ago. And the second thing is, our God is extraordinarily ungodlike. So unlike what you and I would think. That this is not Zeus or some Greek or Roman deity who in essence has fun pulling the wings off bugs. This is not a cruel deity who, in a sense, toys with human life. But this is a great God whose greatness is seen in his willingness to stoop low, passing through a ghastly, grisly scene, the greater, far greater power, binding himself to the lesser power. And later on, ascending the heights of a cross, a necessary cross. As David Rose says, the central revelation of God's grace of a world that is just totally screwed up, and the triumph of God's love. Years ago, in fact, I was thinking more specifically, this was just after Pastor Paul retired. I think it was about 2000. Some church people came to see me, not from St. Mark. They came in and they closed the door and they sat down. And in a most earnest tone, they told me. They said, Pastor, if you look at all the demographic information, we have to be honest. We have to call it the way we see it. And we can't tell you what to do. I thought to myself, you're darn right, you can't tell me what to do. But we just wanted to plant the seed. We think this is something that you really should think about, because people ultimately will follow your lead. We think that the best thing you could really do is just sell this building and sell the property and get the heck out of here. Head north. Just go north. Wash your hands of Roseville. Wash your hands of East Point and St. Clair Shores and Roseville, and head north. And so after they were done, I asked them, but doesn't the area need a church? They had no answer. And so then I said to them, so if we and other churches follow suit and we abandon the first ring suburbs, what happens to the first ring suburbs? And listen carefully to me, because I have friends who do demographic information, do all kinds of demographic stuff from Macomb County. You'd be amazed at what you can learn about this county and where it's going. And I said, so if they abandon the first ring suburbs, what happens to the first ring suburbs? And then what happens to the next ring of suburbs? The answer is, it's not good. It's not good at all. But the best question, is that what God would have us do at St. Martin Lutheran Church? Do you just cut and run? I mean, I'm all for listening to business people, and I think entrepreneurs have something to teach us, but I think you can take it too far. This morning, under the guise of friendship, some Pharisees came to Jesus and they said, if you have half a brain, you'll get out of town. And Jesus said, thanks for the advice. But he said, no thanks. And he said this, I'm not going to run. And as in Jesus' resoluteness and in his determination, as Carolyn Lewis says, we find our inspiration to believe in our own determination, our own courageous resolve, that we never give up, that we never, ever cut and run, that our presence in this place and in this time, and the love and the care and the comfort and the hope that flows from this building into the community, that it matters a great